So here we have another one of these magnetic poles right here that's taking these lines and running them that way, this way, all the way over to the horizon. A magnetic pole right there. And I'm just gonna cover this real quickly and then go show you some stuff Marfugel showed us, because the DEAGEL report infamously shows a huge population reduction by 2025. And the DEAGEL report has been reliable source of credible information for investors that want to see into the future, to know where to put their money. And he calculates in all sorts of different variables. And some of the greatest minds in the economy find him very credible. Well, he died a few months ago and they took down his report. But people have often wondered why by 2025 does he depict a giant population reduction in almost every country. That would be magnetic pole shift. Makes a lot of sense now. So these ones are going straight over to this point where everything comes in to this point right here. And I just watched the airplane that laid this line right here. And as it laid the line pretty much disappeared behind it and then kind of reappeared. But if these are magnetic fields that they're creating over our head, that would explain why the nanoparticulate has been sprinkled for the last 20 years. By the way, I've already recorded and I'm about to upload another one of those videos where I show you the glitter of nanoparticulate coming out of the burnt wood as I scrub it. And I think this will be the second or third time I've done that. The point is for repetition, in order that you know it is scientifically provable, because you can repeat the same results over and over. Get burnt wood, scrub it, glitter. It's not just a one-off. The repeatability makes it a scientific fact. So I'm gonna go show you a couple of key things I heard in Marfugel last night. So you see this one runs that way. These ones run that way. This one runs that way. This one runs this way. And you can see they all come to a point right here. Likewise, over here. Now, we can't quite see the other pole yet. Oh, maybe we can. There's the other pole. All of these will come in that way, that way, that way. So yeah, there's the other pole. Right there. How do they produce these magnetic fields? I don't know, but it just all starts to add up and make sense when you recognize pole shift. That explains the DEAGEL report. That explains the nanoparticulate being sprinkled in order to act as an antenna to prop up these magnetic fields. So, I'm going to show you a couple things old Marfy Marf and the Funky Bunch said last night. Right now. I'll include the link in the description where at 10 minutes 50 seconds he makes another blue beam reference just like he did in his last video. At 13:50 he talks about a report that's supposed to be coming out June 1st. Some big revelation. I'm going to have to listen to it again because they repeatedly refer to how we just talked about that report that's coming out June 1st. But I didn't hear him talk about the report. I just heard him talk about how they talked about the report. So I'm going to have to listen again to see if they gave any details or just repeatedly referenced that thing we already talked about. Yeah, so we already went over that report they're coming out June 1st. And in connection with that, let's talk about this other thing. I don't know if they actually talked about it or if they just talked about talking about it. And at 16:50, he mentions how the ISS live feed no longer gets cut the way it used to. Here they're talking about Skinwalker Ranch in Utah.
Dangerous radiation in the soil. Real estate tycoon Brandon Fugel bought the ranch from paranormal enthusiast Robert Bigelow.
Brandon
and
Fugel?
Has since given full
Is he related to
a
Mar?
research team headed by Dr. Travis Taylor, who has worked for the U.S. Department of Defense and NASA. So I would think that this would give kind of credence to some of the people that say that they are going to do this kind of fake thing where all of a sudden the entire world...
Notice he can't even say the word blue beam or alien, because he knows those are words that are on the filter list.
Gets under one guise of it's us versus them, right? There's a lot of people that believe that there's going to be some event that makes us all, just unify immediately and get under one rule because the bad guy is out in space, if you guys know what I mean. It says real estate tycoon, of course.
Here they're talking about cattle mutilations at Skinwalker Ranch.
Do everything surgically, but not leave a single trace. It's very weird because if you end up doing what they did to these cows, there should be a mess. Well, at the very least, some markings of cuts. But apparently, it's so surgical that they even think in some cases that it might be a foreign adversary's technology cutting into them. I thought that was a weird one. I haven't heard that one before. So like say a Russia or China had some sort of thing and they're testing it on our farm animals out in the Midwest or in Oregon or wherever. Or is it possible that they're doing this report to get ready to include it in the report coming? What is it, June 1st, I think? Oh. And the big reveal, right? That they're supposed to have. Yeah, and again, what are we going to see from this huge report? What are they, are they now reaching out to all these far kind of things that people have kind of gone over for the longest time? There's lots of areas just in the United States, and I'm not sure about, UK or Australia or NZ or any of these other places, but, do you have local areas where a lot of people have seen stuff? If you're in the...
Notice how they mentioned, is this report coming out to be part of that other report, the big reveal on June 1st? Oh, yeah! I don't think they mentioned the big reveal on June 1st other than that particular segment right there. And then later on they reference it. They're like, that report that's coming out, we already talked about that earlier. So in relation to that, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what report he's talking about coming out June 1st. Maybe I'll have to watch it again and listen a little closer. Or maybe they're indirectly alluding to it without being specific. Here, he's talking about how the ISS was told they would brace for impact, that something was headed their direction, brace for immediate impact, and right at the last second, that something changed course. And then he talks about the UFOs that have been seen on the ISS live feed and how they no longer cut it the way they used to when there's something to be seen on the ISS live feed.
Links. What do you think about this? Did you see the original video? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's fake? Do you think it's space rock just floating by? I don't know. We keep seeing this stuff. Remember just a few years back, the ISS feed would cut out all the time? I haven't heard much of anything about them not cutting it or cutting it anymore. Can you guys let me know that follow this? Do they even cut it anymore? Are they just like giving up on covering, this kind of stuff up? Maybe this is truly some stuff is going on, and before they would cut the feed every time it happened and then delete it from the roster. Now it seems like they're catching it all the time, and I haven't heard much about, we saw this thing and then the feed cut. Just up until last year or 2 years ago, it was like they were cutting it all the time, right when a bunch of people would see this stuff. People would be watching the live feed, and then something would pop in, and then boom, it would cut. I mean, it was too much to be kind of a coincidence, right? Are they still cutting it? L Luna 33, thank you for the birthday wishes. Zippy Moons, I appreciate that as well.
Okay, here comes.
And then
another indirect reference to their previous indirect reference.
The other thing we got to think about is why all this information now. We just talked about the big release coming out in June, but the media has been covering the space stuff, whether it's space junk, the near miss with the capsule. Now they're talking about, this UFO captured on the cameras. It is happening more and more and more, right? They're bringing it to the forefront. So there's a reason for that, right? Either the reason is it's just happening, or
they're meaning to do this, right?
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's really weird how all of this stuff is popping up all at once. In the last 2 years, we've seen so much of this. It's incredible.
Right there, it's almost a lie of scale. In the last 2 years? Oh, okay. Whew. I thought he meant like this month something's going down and there's been an increase within the last couple weeks. Whew. Good thing he's just talking about an uptick over the past couple of years, and that means over the next couple of years, maybe they'll lead to disclosure. Because if he told you the uptick is within the last couple of weeks, right down to the last couple of days have been even quicker than the previous couple of weeks, and so that rate of acceleration would lead us to expect something in the next month, June 1st. And oh yeah, here in the last couple of years is almost a lie of scale. Anyway, notice how he indirectly referenced his previous indirect reference of that June 1st report that's coming out. I don't know what report they're talking about. I'll have to watch this again. And this is only what I caught in the first 20 minutes of watching that Marfugal News last night. So this is going down. We're in the midst of full disclosure.